Hi, everybody. This is Kirk McLean, legend in my own mind, legend to others, number one in your heart, number one in your program, Ring of Honor, and I Only Touch Greatness podcast.
This is the hottest place for big name interviews in Vancouver with Ryan Hayes and Big Mike.
We've kind of actually met a little bit. I'm the Don Cherry guy.
Yeah, I recognize that.
Yeah, I've seen you a few times now. We're just going to talk a little bit about your career and what's new nowadays and have ourselves a good chat.
All right.
All
Sounds
right.
good.
Growing up in Ontario, what was life like for you growing up?
Well, I think it was like any young Canadian boy, especially in the Toronto area where I grew up. I played multi sports. I started my hockey at probably the age of 5 or 6 or so. I started skating in around early fives, and then learned how to play the game at a year-long hockey school. It's called the Scarborough Lions Hockey Academy. That was held at the old Scarborough Arena, Birchmount Stadium area in Toronto. That lasted quite a while. So you'd work on your skills, and you'd learn the game a little bit near the end, where we were allowed to scrimmage and play games. And then I moved on to house league hockey, and played soccer in the summer, and that was kind of the rotation because of the seasons there. Obviously, with the winters being snow. And then, of course, the weather getting better in the summer. We always, unlike here, where hockey and soccer are both in the same season.
Yeah.
Who started the Captain Kirk nickname?
That's a good question. I don't know who actually started it. It was something that just kind of hit for obvious reasons. The Star Trek character, but it hit pretty early. I can't tell you exactly who started it. I think it just could have been the media that possibly did it, but it certainly wasn't a teammate.
Okay. Did you play any other sports growing up?
Yeah, I played soccer at a high level too, and I got to the age of 19 or so, just near the end of my junior career. But I would still play soccer in the summer, where I had to obviously pack it in for obvious reasons, and it kind of worked nicely, because my last game I ended up getting red carded, so I got kicked out of the match, but I was supposed to go to discipline, to see what was going to happen. But I realized that the game wasn't going to be there for me, and I was moving onto hockey, so I didn't end up going to my discipline. But it's my second love. I follow it closely, all the leagues around the world to this date. I was actually just checking my phone to see what time my Manchester United plays tomorrow.
Okay, Manchester fan, eh?
Well, I'm a Glasgow Ranger fan, but yes, I'm a Manchester fan in the English Premier.
Oh, we're trying to
Okay.
work on getting some of them on here too.
Take me back to draft day. Obviously, probably one of the biggest things to happen in your life. Drafted
Yeah.
107th overall to the Devils.
Yeah, it was obviously a special day. I remember it vividly. It was held in Montreal. At that time, back in '84, I guess it was very rare that a goaltender would go anywhere in the top 3 rounds. I went the 6th round, but I was humming and hawing about actually attending the draft because it didn't happen. It was usually just the top picks that, for the most part, went. But everybody convinced me. My agent convinced me. So off we went, my dad and I, and some other fathers and my childhood hockey coach to Montreal, and had an absolute blast. And of course, when your name gets called and you wait around in the stands for all that time, it was certainly worth it. And they were very gracious, and they showed us a good time around Montreal. And then later in the summer, they flew all the prospects down into New Jersey, and gave us a whirlwind of Manhattan.
Okay. Did you know they were interested? Like, did you talk to them much before the draft?
A little bit. It was not quite the way it is now. It wasn't as intimate and technical. You heard more say through your agent. But yeah, it just happened when I'm playing in Oshawa, where I played my junior. One of their main amateur scouts was one of our head scouts in Oshawa. Bless his soul, Frank J., who's passed away, but he was a big backer, and there was a few players that he chose. John McLean came out of there. Joe Sorella came out of there. So, he picked a few good ones, and of course, Kirk Muller was the first pick of my year, and then Craig Billington was the second pick, and then it gradually got down to myself at 6 and Chris Terreri at 7. The next year, Sean Burke came. So there was a plethora of goaltenders there waiting for something to happen.
You don't really see that happen these days, like a team taking that many goalies in 2 years.
Yeah. Well, they were still, I don't want to say they were still a new franchise. They hadn't been, when they moved from Colorado to New Jersey, they were still trying to find their way, and, had some pretty tough years there. So they had a lot of draft picks. And I think at the end of the day, you got to build from the back end out. I think I'm a big believer in that. And, Max McNabb was the GM at the time, and I think he that's what was his plan. Build up these commodities, and then somewhere down the line, he could use them as trade bait. And lo and behold, 3 years later, I get traded on the opening of training camp to the Vancouver Canucks with Greg Adams.
Your thoughts on being traded with Greg Adams in '87?
Yeah, well,
biggest day as a Canucks fan, obviously, is you coming here.
It was a weird feeling because I'd never experienced anything like that, and although I was I played a full year mostly in the minors the year before with the Maine Mariners, who were the farm club of New Jersey, but did play up and mostly sat on the bench up in New Jersey, but got to know a lot of the guys over the years of the training camp. So it was a weird feeling, and when I went into at that time, Max McNabb had retired, and Lou Lamoriello took over the reins, and it was basically his first day of being the GM, and I'd never met him. So that was the first meeting, was him calling me in and him letting me know that he traded me to Vancouver. He didn't tell me that Greg Adams was involved. He just said there was another player involved, but he can't tell me right now because back then the faxes hadn't gone through and all that kind of jazz. Everything had to be rubber stamped by the league, and made sure all the T's were crossed and the I's were dotted.
Out of curiosity, like, how much time did you have, like, once you were traded, to get your shit and go?
Not very much. I was staying at John McLean's place because we'd driven in from Oshawa. He's an Oshawa boy and obviously played in Oshawa. So we'd driven in. We made the 8-hour drive from Oshawa New Jersey a couple weeks before to start skating with the guys and getting back into the swing of things, getting ready for training camp. And then just as we were going in to do our testing, Bob Hoffmeyer, who was the assistant coach at the time, gave me a call at John's place and just let me know. They said that Lou wanted to speak to me. And then, I don't think it took a rocket scientist to figure out what was going on. And I basically looked at John and said, I think I probably just got traded. So on I went, and yeah, he told me, and then it was just back to the apartment and collected my belongings and got the late flight out of Newark into Vancouver. Flew all night with Greg, landed early hours of the morning, and we stayed at the old Sheraton Villa, which is on the Highway 1 there, which is I think it's a Delta now.
Yeah.
With the casino. Came downstairs, hopped on the bus, and away we went to Duncan.